David was tired, really tired. The kind of tired that comes from working 12-hour days for months on end. He walked slowly down the empty street, his laptop bag heavy on his shoulder. The autumn wind was getting colder, and he pulled his jacket tight around himself. He lived alone in a small apartment downtown. Every night was the same routine. Work late, walk home, eat something quick, sleep, and do it all over again. David thought this was what success looked like. He had a good job as a computer programmer, made decent money, and didn't have to worry about anyone but himself. But tonight would be different. Tonight would change everything. As David turned the corner near his building, he heard something. That made him stop. It was a soft crying sound coming from behind the big trash container. At first, he thought maybe it was a cat, but then he heard it again, and he knew it wasn't an animal. David hesitated. He was tired, and he just wanted to go home, but something inside him wouldn't let him walk away. He slowly approached the sound, his heart beating faster with each step. Behind the trash container, sitting on a piece of cardboard, was a little girl. She looked about 6 years old, maybe 7. Her clothes were dirty and didn't fit her properly. Her hair was messy, and she was shivering in the cold night air. She had wrapped herself in what looked like an old blanket that had seen better. Dazed out when she saw David, she didn't run away like most kids would. Instead, she looked up at him with the biggest, most hopeful eyes he had ever seen. There was something about those eyes that made David's chest feel tight. They were full of sadness, but also full of hope, like she was still believing that someone, somewhere, cared about her. "Hi there," David said softly, kneeling down so he wouldn't seem so big and scary. "Are you okay?" The little girl wiped her nose with the back of her hand. "I'm cold," she whispered. Her voice was so small that David had to lean closer to hear her. Without thinking, David took off his jacket and wrapped it around her tiny shoulders. It was way too big for her, but she pulled it tight around herself and smiled just a little bit. "What's your name?" David asked. "Lily," she said. "What's yours?" "I'm David, Lily." "Where are your parents? Where's your family?" Lily's face became sad again. She looked down at her hands. "I don't have any. The people who were supposed to take care of me, they moved away. They said they couldn't take me with them. I've been here for I don't know how many days." David felt his heart break a little. How could anyone leave a child like this? How could anyone just walk away from someone so small and helpless? "Are you hungry?" he asked. Lily nodded quickly. "I found some food in the trash yesterday, but it didn't taste very good." David stood up. "Wait right here, okay? I'm going to get you something to eat." He ran to the corner store that was still open and bought sandwiches, milk, some fruit, and a chocolate bar. When he came back, Lily was still sitting in the same spot, wrapped in his jacket. She looked surprised that he had actually come back. "I thought you might not come back," she said quietly as David sat down next to her. "Why would you think that? Adults always say they'll come back, but they don't usually mean it." Those words hit David harder than he expected. How many people had made promises to this little girl and then broken them? How many times had she been let down? As Lily ate the sandwich, David found himself really looking at her. Despite everything she had been through, she had good manners. She said thank you for the food. She didn't eat like someone who was starving, even though she probably was. She shared half of her chocolate bar with him, even though it was probably the best thing she had tasted in days. "Lily," David said carefully, "do you have anywhere to go tonight? Anyone who's looking for you?" She shook her head. "The people at the big building with all the kids said they don't have room for me anymore. They said I'm too old now, but I don't feel too old. I'm only 6. David's mind was racing. He couldn't just leave her here. But what could he do? He didn't know anything about taking care of kids. He had never even thought about having children. His life was work, sleep, and more work. "It's getting really cold," David said, "and it might rain tonight. You can't stay out here." Lily looked up at him again with those big eyes, and then she said something that would echo in David's mind for the rest of his life. "Mr. David," she said in her small, hopeful voice, "will you be my daddy? I promise I'll be good. I won't make any trouble. I just don't want to be alone anymore." David felt like someone had knocked all the air out of his lungs. This little girl, who had been abandoned and forgotten by everyone, who was supposed to protect her, was asking him, a complete stranger, to be her father. She was offering him her whole heart, her complete trust. Even though she had every reason not to trust anyone ever again, for a moment, David couldn't speak. He looked at Lily, sitting there in his jacket that was too big for her, asking him to be her daddy with such hope in her voice. He thought about his empty apartment, his lonely life, his days that all looked the same. And then he thought about this brave little girl who had survived on the streets, but still had enough courage to ask for love. "Okay," David heard himself say. "Okay, Lily." "Yes." Her face lit up like the sun coming out after a storm. "Really? You really mean it?" "I really mean it," David said, and he realized that he did. "But we need to do this the right way. There are people we need to talk to, papers we need to sign. It might take some time." "That's okay," Lily said quickly. "I can wait. I'm good at waiting. But can I stay with you tonight, please?" "I promise I won't touch anything or make a mess." David stood up and held out his hand. "Come on, let's go home." Lily took his hand with both of hers, like she was afraid he might change his mind. As they walked toward David's apartment building, she looked up at him and said, "Thank you for not walking away." David squeezed her hand gently. "Thank you for asking me to stay." Neither of them knew what they were getting into. David had no idea how to be a father, and Lily had been hurt so many times that trusting someone new was scary. But sometimes the most important journeys begin with a single step, and sometimes the most beautiful families are the ones that choose each other. As they walked into the warm building together, David realized that his life would never be the same, and for the first time in years, that didn't scare him. It made him excited for tomorrow. The first morning was chaos. David woke up to the sound of crying coming from his living room. For a moment, he forgot what had happened the night before. Then he remembered Lily, the little girl who had asked him to be her daddy. He found her, sitting on the couch, still wearing his big jacket, tears streaming down her face. She looked so small and scared in his apartment that was all gray walls and empty spaces. "Hey, what's wrong?" David asked, sitting down next to her carefully. "I thought maybe I dreamed it." Lily whispered, "I thought maybe when I woke up, you would be gone, and I would still be outside." David's heart broke a little more. "No, Lily, this is real. You're safe now. But I have to be honest with you. I don't really know how to take care of kids. We're both going to have to learn together." Lily wiped her eyes. "That's okay. I don't really know how to be someone's kid either." David looked around his apartment. It wasn't a place for children. There were no toys, no bright colors, no soft places to play. Everything was sharp corners and cold surfaces. "We need to make this place feel more like home for you," he said. The first few weeks were like trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. David had to learn everything from scratch. He burned pancakes, put Lily's shirts on backwards, and had no idea what shows kids like to watch. He Googled things like, what time should 6-year-olds go to bed and how to brush a little girl's hair. Lily was patient with him, but David could tell she was waiting for him to give up. She would ask permission for everything. "Can I use the bathroom? Can I drink this water? Can I sit on this chair?" It broke David's heart to realize that she had learned not to expect basic kindness. She also did strange things that worried David. She hid food under her pillow, even though he told her she could eat whenever she was hungry. She slept on the floor next to the bed he bought for her, instead of actually sleeping in it, and whenever David moved too quickly or raised his voice even a little bit, she would freeze up like a scared rabbit. "Lily," David said one morning after finding crackers hidden in her sock drawer, "you don't have to hide food. There's always going to be enough to eat here." "But what if you change your mind?" she asked quietly. "What if you decide you don't want me anymore? Then I'll need the food." David knelt down so he was at her level. "I'm not going to change my mind. But I understand why you're scared. A lot of people have let you down, haven't they?" Lily nodded, not looking at him. "Well, I'm not those people. But I know I have to prove that to you. Words are easy. Actions are what count. Meanwhile, David was dealing with social workers, lawyers, and a system that was complicated and slow. He had to get background checks, fill out mountains of paperwork, and prove that he could provide a good home for Lily. Some people questioned why a single man with no experience wanted to adopt a child he had just met. It doesn't make logical sense, David told Mrs. Rodriguez, the social worker assigned to their case. But neither does leaving a 6-year-old girl on the street. Sometimes the right thing to do isn't the logical thing. Mrs. Rodriguez had been doing this job for 20 years, and she had seen a lot of people make promises they couldn't keep. But she watched how David looked at Lily and how Lily had started to relax around him, and she could see that something real was happening between them. The breakthrough came during a thunderstorm. David woke up in the middle of the night to lightning flashing outside his window. The thunder was so loud it shook the building. He got up to check on Lily and found her bed empty. He found her hiding in the closet, wrapped in a blanket, shaking with fear. "Hey, it's okay," David said softly. "It's just a storm. You're safe. I hate storms." Lily whispered, "They're so loud and scary. Want to come watch it with me?" Sometimes storms are less scary when you're not facing them alone. David made hot chocolate, and they sat on the couch together watching the lightning flash across the sky. He told her how thunder was just the sound clouds made when they bumped into each other, and how lightning was like the sky taking pictures. Lily giggled at his silly explanations. "David," she said as she started to fall asleep against his shoulder. "Yeah, can I call you Dad instead of David, if that's okay?" David felt tears start to form in his eyes. "I would love that, Lily. I would really love that." "And Dad, yes? I think I'm ready to sleep in my bed tonight, but maybe you could leave the hall light on. Just in case, of course." The next morning, David woke up to the smell of something burning. He ran to the kitchen and found Lily standing on a chair, trying to flip pancakes with a spatula that was too big for her hands. The pancakes were black on one side and raw on the other, and there was flour everywhere. "I wanted to make you breakfast," she said, looking worried that she was in trouble. "Because you always make breakfast for me." David looked at the mess, looked at Lily's hopeful face, and started laughing. Not mean laughing, but happy laughing. "These look like the best pancakes I've ever seen," he said. They ate the terrible pancakes together, and David thought they tasted better than anything he had ever eaten in a fancy restaurant. Slowly, things started to change. Lily stopped hiding food. She started sleeping in her bed. She began to laugh more and flinch less. David learned to braid her hair by watching YouTube videos. He learned which cartoons she liked and which vegetables she would actually eat. They developed little routines that became precious to both of them. Saturday morning pancakes that they made together, reading bedtime stories, playing simple games where David would pretend to be different animals, and Lily would guess what he was. One evening, about 2 months after that first night, Lily was doing homework at the kitchen table while David cooked dinner. Out of nowhere, she said, "Dad, I'm glad you didn't walk away that night." David stopped stirring the pasta sauce. "I'm glad you were brave enough to ask me to stay." "Are you happy?" Lily asked. "I mean, your life was probably easier before me." David sat down next to her. "Lily, before you came into my life, I thought I was living, but I was just existing, going through the motions. You didn't make my life harder. You made it better. You made it real." Lily smiled and went back to her homework, and David realized that somewhere along the way, without him even noticing, this little girl had become his whole world. She had taught him that love wasn't something you fall into. It was something you choose every single day. That night, as he tucked Lily into bed, she looked up at him with those same big eyes that had captured his heart that first night. "I love you, Dad," she said simply. "I love you too, sweetheart, sweet dreams." As David turned off the light, he smiled. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new things to learn, new ways to grow, but they would face them together as a family. 6 months had passed since that cold night when everything changed. Lily was now officially enrolled in Riverside Elementary School, and David had become what he never thought he would be, a school dad. He packed lunches, helped with homework, and learned to navigate the world of parent-teacher conferences and school events. The first day of school had been tough for both of them. Lily clung to David's hand as they walked through the hallways filled with other kids and their families. Some of the other parents stared at them curiously. David knew what they were thinking. He didn't look like Lily, and it was obvious they weren't related by blood. "What if the other kids don't like me?" Lily whispered as they reached her classroom door. "Then they're missing out on knowing someone really special," David whispered back. "But I think you're going to be just fine, and if you're not, I'll be here to pick you up at 3 o'clock sharp. Double quotes. Mrs. Thompson, Lily's teacher, was kind and patient. She had been teaching for 15 years and had seen all kinds of families. She could tell that David and Lily shared something special. Even if they had only been together for a short time. In class, Lily was quiet at first. She was smart, really smart, and picked up on lessons quickly. But when it came to making friends, things were harder. During recess, she would sit alone and watch the other kids play. When they asked her questions about her family, she didn't know how to answer. "Why doesn't your dad look like you?" asked Tommy, a boy in her class who always seemed to have something to say. "Because families don't have to look the same to love each other," Lily replied, repeating something David had told her. "But where's your real dad?" Tommy pressed. Lily's face got red. "David is my real dad. He's the one who takes care of me and loves me and reads me bedtime stories. That makes him real." Mrs. Thompson overheard and gently redirected the conversation. But David found out about it when Lily told him that evening. She wasn't sad about it. She was angry, which was actually progress. She was learning to stand up for herself and their family. "You handled that perfectly," David told her as they ate dinner. "Family isn't about looking the same. It's about choosing to love each other every day." "I know," Lily said, twirling spaghetti around her fork. "But sometimes I wish people would just mind their own business." David laughed. "Yeah, me too." At work, David's life had changed completely too. He used to stay at the office until 8 or 9 at night. Now he was always the first one out the door at 5 o'clock. His coworkers noticed the change. "You seem different lately," said Jennifer, who worked at the desk next to his. "Happier." "I have a daughter now," David said simply, showing her a picture on his phone of Lily grinning with a missing front tooth. "She's beautiful," Jennifer said. "How old is she?" 6, almost 7. "And you're doing this alone. That's brave." David thought about that word, brave. He didn't feel brave most of the time. He felt like he was making it up as he went along, hoping he wasn't messing up too badly. But maybe that's what being brave really meant, doing something important even when you weren't sure you could do it right. The challenges were real. Some nights, Lily still woke up with bad dreams about being alone again. David would sit with her until she fell back asleep, sometimes falling asleep in the chair next to her bed. Other times, she would get scared when he was even 5 minutes late picking her up from school, thinking he had changed his mind about being her dad. "I waited and waited," she said one afternoon when traffic had made him 15 minutes late. "And I started thinking maybe you weren't coming back." "Lily, look at me," David said, kneeling down in front of her. "I will always come back for you. Always, even if I'm late, even if there's traffic or my car breaks down or there's a snowstorm. I will find a way to get to you. That's a promise. Really, really, you're stuck with me now, kiddo." That made her smile. They started going to counseling together. David had learned that Lily's fears weren't something that would just go away with time and love. Though those things helped, she needed professional help to work through everything that had happened to her before they met. Dr. Patterson was a gentle woman who specialized in helping children who had been through difficult experiences. She taught Lily ways to handle her worry and fear. She also helped David understand that healing wasn't a straight line. There would be good days and bad days, progress and setbacks. The important thing, Dr. Patterson told David during one of their sessions, is that Lily knows she's safe now, and from what I can see, She absolutely knows that. David was learning too. He had signed up for parenting classes, joined online forums for single dads, and read every book he could find about helping children who had experienced trauma. He made mistakes, lots of them, but he learned from each one. Like the time he accidentally threw away a drawing Lily had made for him at school. She cried for an hour, not because of the drawing, but because she thought it meant he didn't care about the things she made for him. David learned to save every single artwork, every note, every little gift she gave him. Or the time he got frustrated when she couldn't tie her shoes and spoke more sharply than he meant to. Lily immediately went quiet and started apologizing. Over and over again. David realized that his tone of voice could take her right back to the scared little girl he had found behind that dumpster. "I'm sorry," he said, sitting down on the floor with her. "I wasn't frustrated with you. I was frustrated with myself because I don't know how to teach this. Let's figure it out together, okay?" But there were wonderful moments too. The first time Lily brought home a friend from school, a quiet girl named Amy, who thought it was cool that Lily's dad worked with computers. The two girls spent the afternoon building blanket forts and giggling over silly jokes. David watched them from the kitchen and felt something he had never experienced before. The pride of watching his child be happy and normal and just a kid. There was the day Lily scored her first goal in the community soccer league David had signed her up for. She ran straight to him on the sidelines, not caring that she was supposed to get back into position. Did you see? Did you see?" she shouted, jumping up and down. "I saw," David shouted back, picking her up and spinning her round. "That was amazing." And there was the quiet evening when Lily was reading on the couch next to David, while he worked on his laptop. Out of nowhere, she said, "Dad, I think I want to learn about computers like you." "Really?" "Why? Because you're really good at it, and I want to be good at the same things you're good at." "Is that weird?" David felt his throat get tight with emotion. "No, sweetheart, that's not weird at all. I'd love to teach you." As they sat together that night, David teaching Lily basic computer skills while she asked a million questions, he realized something important. He had spent so much time worrying about whether he was doing right by Lily that he hadn't noticed how much she was doing right by him. She had taught him what it meant to put someone else first. She had shown him that love wasn't just a feeling, it was a choice you made every single day. She had given his life purpose and meaning in a way that no job or achievement ever could. That night, as he tucked her into bed, Lily looked up at him with those same big eyes that had changed his life. "Dad, are you happy you found me that night, Lily?" David said, brushing her hair back from her forehead. "Finding you was the best thing that ever happened to me. You didn't just become my daughter that night. You made me become the person I was supposed to be." Lily smiled sleepily. "I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart, more than all the stars in the sky." As David turned off the light and headed to his own room, he thought about how much their lives had changed. They weren't perfect, no family was, but they were real, and they were theirs. And that was everything. 5 years had passed since that life-changing night, and Lily was now 11 years old. She had grown into a confident, smart girl who loved math, enjoyed drama club at school, and had a group of close friends who thought her dad was pretty cool. David had officially adopted her 2 years ago, and she now carried his last name with pride. Their life had settled into a comfortable rhythm. David had learned to braid her hair perfectly, knew exactly how she liked her sandwiches cut, and never missed a school play or soccer game. Lily had learned that when David said he would be somewhere, he would be there. Trust had grown between them like a strong tree with deep roots. But sometimes the past has a way of showing up when you least expect it. It was a Tuesday afternoon when Mrs. Rodriguez, their social worker, called David at work. Her voice sounded different, careful, and concerned. "David, I need to talk to you about something important. Can you come to my office today? Is everything okay? Is Lily all right?" "Lily is fine. But there's someone who wants to meet her. Her birth mother has contacted us." David felt his world tilt sideways. He had always known this day might come. But knowing something might happen and having it actually happen are two very different things. That evening, David sat Lily down for one of the hardest conversations of his life. She was doing homework at the kitchen table, humming a song she had learned in music class, completely unaware that everything was about to change. Lily, we need to talk about something important, David said. Sitting down across from her, she looked up from her math worksheet. Am I in trouble? No, sweetheart, you're not in trouble. But I got a call today from Mrs. Rodriguez, your birth mother, the woman who had you before we met. She wants to see you. Lily's pencil stopped moving. For a long moment, she just stared at David. My birth mother. But you're my dad. I'm your dad. I will always be your dad. That will never change. But the woman who gave birth to you is trying to get her life together. And she asked if she could meet you. Do I have to? Lily asked quietly. No, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. This is your choice. Lily was quiet for a long time. David could see her mind working, trying to process this information. What's her name? Rachel. Why did she leave me? David had prepared for this question, but it was still hard to answer. She was sick in a way that made it hard for her to take care of herself, let alone take care of a baby. She wasn't ready to be a mom then, and now she is? I don't know. Lily, maybe people can change and get better. But even if she has changed, that doesn't change anything between you and me. Over the next few days, Lily was quieter than usual. She would start to say something and then stop. David could tell she was thinking hard about everything. Her friends at school noticed too. Is Lily okay? Asked Amy, her best friend, when David picked them up from school. She seemed sad. She's working through some big feelings right now, David told Amy. But she'll be okay. Finally, one evening while they were making dinner together, Lily spoke up. Dad, I think I want to meet her. Rachel, but I'm scared. What are you scared of? What if she wants me to come live with her? What if she tries to take me away from you? David stopped chopping vegetables and knelt down to Lily's level. Lily, listen to me very carefully. No one can take you away from me. You are my daughter legally and in every way that matters. We're a family, and that's not going to change. But what if I like her? Would that hurt your feelings? David's heart swelled with love for this thoughtful little girl, Lily. It's okay to have complicated feelings. You can care about her and still be my daughter. Love isn't like pizza. You don't run out of slices. Your heart is big enough for lots of different kinds of love. The meeting was arranged for the following Saturday at Mrs. Rodriguez's office. David would be there, along with a counselor, to make sure Lily felt safe. Rachel looked different than David had imagined. She was thin and nervous, with the same dark hair as Lily. When she saw Lily, tears filled her eyes immediately. Hi, she said softly. You're so big and so beautiful. Lily stayed close to David but looked at Rachel with curiosity. Hi, I brought you something, Rachel said, pulling out a small photo album. These are pictures of when you were a baby. I thought maybe you'd like to see them. Lily looked at David, who nodded encouragingly. She took the album and slowly flipped through the pages. There she was as a tiny baby, sleeping, playing with toys, taking her first steps. You kept pictures of me? Lily asked. I kept everything I could, Rachel said. I never stopped thinking about you, not for one single day. I know I made a terrible mistake leaving you, but I was so sick and scared, and I thought you would be better off without me. Were you sick like when you have a cold? Lily asked. No, sweetheart. I was sick in my mind and my heart. I made very bad choices that hurt both of us, but I've been working really hard to get better. They talked for an hour. Rachel told Lily about her family, about how much she had loved her even when she couldn't take care of her. Lily asked questions, some easy, some hard. David watched his daughter navigate this difficult situation with wisdom that amazed him. Can I ask you something? Lily said to Rachel near the end of their visit. Of course. Are you going to disappear? Again, Rachel's face crumpled. I hope not. I'm trying really hard to stay healthy and make good choices. But I understand if you don't trust me. I have to earn that. David, my dad, he says people can change if they really want to. Your dad. Sounds like a very wise man. He is. He saved me. On the drive home, Lily was quiet for a while. Finally, she said, Dad, I'm glad I met her. But I'm also glad I don't have to choose. What do you mean? I mean, she's the person who had me first, and I can care about her. But you're the person who chose to love me every day. You're the one who taught me how to ride a bike and helped me with homework and made me feel safe. That makes you my real dad. David had to pull over because his eyes were too full of tears to drive safely. I love you, Lily. More than you'll ever know. I love you too, Dad, and thank you. For what? For not being scared when I wanted to meet her, for letting me have complicated feelings, for always making me feel like your choice. Over the following months, Lily met with Rachel a few more times. Sometimes the visits went well. Sometimes they were harder. But through it all, David made sure Lily knew that her relationship with Rachel didn't change anything about their family. One evening, as they were getting ready for bed, Lily said, Dad, can I tell you something? Always. Meeting Rachel helped me understand something. She gave birth to me, and that's important. But you chose to be my father every single day for 6 years now, and that's what makes you my dad. David tucked her into bed and kissed her forehead. Sweet dreams, my beautiful daughter. Dad? Yeah, thanks for teaching me that families can be complicated, but love doesn't have to be. As David turned off the light, he reflected on how much they had both grown. Lily was learning that she could honor her past while embracing her present. And David had learned that love really was big enough for complicated situations. Their family was stronger than ever, not despite the challenges they had faced, but because of how they had faced them together. 12 years had passed since that cold autumn night, when a scared little girl had asked a lonely man to be her father. Now, 18-year-old Lily stood in her cap and gown, preparing to give the valedictorian speech at Jefferson High School. David sat in the audience, his heart bursting with pride as he watched the confident young woman his daughter had become. Lily had grown into someone remarkable. She was tall now, with her father's quiet confidence and her own fierce determination. She had been accepted to MIT with a full scholarship to study computer science, following in David's footsteps but determined to make her own mark on the world. The years between 11 and 18 had flown by faster than David could have imagined. There had been middle school drama, high school heartbreaks, college applications, and 1,000 small moments that had woven themselves into the fabric of their family story. There was the night Lily came home crying because a boy had broken up with her, and David had made her favorite ice cream sundae while she told him all about it. There was the time she won the state science fair with a project about coding, and David had been so proud he called everyone he knew. There was the scary moment when she was 16 and came home in our past curfew, and David realized that worrying about your child never really stops. Through it all, they had maintained their Saturday morning pancake tradition, even when Lily became a teenager and wanted to sleep until noon on weekends. She still got up early on Saturdays to make pancakes with her dad. It was their time to talk about everything and nothing, to stay connected even as she grew more independent. Ladies and gentlemen, the principal announced, our valedictorian, Lily Chen Wellington. David watched as Lily walked to the podium. She looked out at the crowd of families and found his face in the audience. She smiled at him, that same bright smile she had given him when she was 6 years old and he had promised to be her dad. Thank you, Lily began. When I was 6 years old, I learned something that most people take much longer to understand. I learned that family isn't about sharing the same blood or the same last name. Family is about choice. It's about someone choosing to love you, not just once, but every single day. David felt tears start to form in his eyes. 12 years ago, I was alone and scared, and I asked a stranger to be my father. That stranger could have walked away. He could have called someone else to deal with me. But instead, he said yes. Not just to that moment, but to every moment that came after. Lily paused and looked directly at David. Dad, you taught me that love is a verb, not just a feeling. You showed me that families are built on daily choices to care for each other, support each other, and never give up on each other. You didn't just give me a home, you gave me roots and wings." The audience was completely silent, hanging on every word. To my classmates, I want to say this. Life is going to put you in situations where you have to choose between the easy path and the right path. Choose right. Choose love. Choose to be the person who stays when others walk away. Choose to be the person who says yes when someone needs help, even if it changes your whole life. David was crying now, not caring who saw him. And to all the parents here today, thank you for choosing your children every day. Thank you for the early mornings and the late nights, for the homework help and the driving lessons, for believing in us even when we didn't believe in ourselves. Lily's voice grew stronger as she reached the end of her speech. I'm going to MIT in the fall to study computer science. I want to use technology to help kids who are in situations like I was once in. I want to create systems that make sure no child falls through the cracks, that make sure every kid is someone who chooses them. She paused one more time. 12 years ago, a little girl asked, "Will you be my father?" And a man answered, "Yes." That yes changed to lives forever. It taught me that sometimes the most important question you can ask is not, "Can you help me?" but "Will you stay?" And sometimes the most important answer you can give is simply yes. I will stay. The audience erupted in applause. David was on his feet, clapping through his tears, watching his daughter, brilliant, compassionate, strong, prepared to take on the world. After the ceremony, as families took pictures and celebrated, Lily found David in the crowd. She ran to him and hugged him tight, just like she had when she was little. "I'm so proud of you," David whispered in her ear. "I'm proud of us," Lily whispered back. Later that evening, they were at home having their traditional celebration dinner, pizza and ice cream, because that's what Lily had requested when she was 7, and they had kept the tradition ever since. "Are you nervous about college?" David asked. "A little," Lily admitted. "But you taught me that being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means doing the right thing even when you are scared." "You're going to do amazing things, Lily. You already have." "Dad, can I ask you something I've always wondered about?" "Of course." "That night when you found me, what made you stop? What made you not just keep walking?" David thought about that question. He had asked himself the same thing many times over the years. "Honestly, I don't know. Maybe it was the sound of you crying. Maybe it was something about the way you looked at me. But I think maybe it was simpler than that. I think maybe I stopped because I was supposed to stop. Because you were supposed to be my daughter, and I was supposed to be your dad. Do you think things happen for a reason? I didn't used to. But then you came into my life and changed everything for the better. So yeah, I think some things happen for a reason." The next morning was their last Saturday morning pancake breakfast before Lily left for college. They cooked together in comfortable silence, a routine they had perfected over the years. "This won't be the last one," Lily said, as if reading his mind. "I'll come home for holidays and summers. And maybe someday, when I have kids of my own, we can teach them how to make pancakes too." "You want kids someday?" David asked. "Maybe. If I do, I hope I can love them the way you loved me. Completely, unconditionally, without reservation. You will. You have the biggest heart of anyone I know." As they sat down to eat, David looked at his daughter, this incredible young woman who had started as a scared little girl behind a dumpster. She was ready for college, ready for the world, ready to make a difference. "Lily?" "Yeah, Dad?" "Thank you." "For what?" "For asking me to be your father that night. For giving me the chance to be the person I was meant to be. For teaching me what real love looks like." Lily reached across the table and took his hand. "Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for staying. Thank you for choosing me every day for 12 years. I'll choose you every day for the rest of my life," David said. "You're my daughter, and that will never change." "I know," Lily said, smiling. "And Dad, yeah, I choose you too. Every day, forever." As they finished their pancakes and prepared for Lily's next adventure, David realized that the scared, lonely man he had been 12 years ago was gone. In his place was someone who understood that the most important things in life aren't things at all. They're the people we choose to love and who choose to love us back. The little girl who had asked him to be her father had given him the greatest gift of all. She had made him a dad, not just in name, but in every way that mattered. And now, as she prepared to change the world, he knew that their love would always bring her home.